Well, hi everyone, and welcome to the Infinity Futures Daily Trading video. My name is Raleigh White, and I'm here to talk to you about the trades we took in our live trading room on Thursday, December 4th, 2014. Well, looking at today's economic calendar, you can see we had several important events on the schedule, but most of these occurred prior to the open of the U.S. trading session. At 7:30, we had the European Central Bank press conference, and President Mario Draghi announced that the low interest rates would remain unchanged, but he didn't mention anything specific as to when new stimulus programs would be enacted. At 7:30, we also had the release of the unemployment claims, which came in higher than expected, with a value of 297,000 new jobless claims being filed versus an estimate of 296,000. Then at 7:30, we had FOMC member Mester speaking. Now at 9:30, we had the natural gas storage data coming out, and it was higher than expected, with a drawdown of only 22 billion cubic feet versus an estimated drawdown of a negative 51 billion cubic feet. And then at 11:30, we had FOMC member Brainerd speaking. Now, as far as today's pre-market sentiment was concerned, things were fairly positive coming into the open. Now, the Asian markets had closed higher on the record U.S. finish in the markets yesterday. Sentiment remained upbeat after the Dow and the S&P 500 closed at fresh new record highs yesterday. We saw the best performing markets were in China, where the Shanghai market closed up 4.4%, and the Hong Kong market closed up 1.7% at fresh three-year highs on expectation as to when the new Chinese stimulus plans would be implemented. We also saw that the Japanese Nikkei was up. It closed up 0.9 of a point as the yen weakened against the dollar and is at 7-year lows. And the Australian market closed up 0.9 of a point on stronger than estimated retail sales data. As far as the European markets are concerned, they were open and trending higher after the European Central Bank rate decision. Now, both the Bank of England and the European Central Bank have decided to keep their interest rates at their current low levels for the foreseeable future. And investors were waiting for the press conference from ECB President Mario Draghi and hopeful that he was going to announce some new stimulus measures. Sentiment was also being bolstered by gains in the airline sector on strong profits and an upbeat outlook for European airlines. As far as the United States is concerned, the Wall Street figured to open up mixed after the release of some U.S. economic reports. Now, the futures were actually pointing lower after the jobless claims appeared to be leveling off and ahead of President Draghi's comments on his stimulus plans. Investors in the U.S. are hopeful that the economic stagnation in the Eurozone is going to drive the need for stimulus and that something would be announced. Focus for many U.S. investors today would be on the natural gas storage coming out at 9:30, FOMC member Brainerd's speech at 11:30, and then looking ahead to tomorrow where we've got the key employment reports coming out. As far as our trading activity is concerned today, we had 5 entry attempts in the market, but unfortunately no fills in any of our markets, but I am going to share with you the setups that I was looking at. But before I do that, I need to remind everyone of this following important disclaimer. And that is that trading futures involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. You should carefully consider whether trading is suitable for you in light of your circumstances, knowledge, and financial resources, as you may lose all or more of your initial investment. And always remember that past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Well, turning to the charts, let's begin here with the E-mini S&P 500. And you can see right here at the open of the U.S. trading session, we had 1, 2, 3, 4 bars moving higher, followed by 1 bar retracing and a 2nd bar retracing, and I was sitting here waiting to go long at 2067.25, but you can see the market never came back to give me a fill, moved away from me, and I had to take this trade out of the market. I then turned my attention to the E-mini Dow market, and we can see here right at the open we had 1, 2 bars moving higher, followed by 1 bar retracing and a 2nd bar retracing, and I was sitting here at 178.58 looking for a long entry. The market came within 1 ticket giving me a fill and then moved away from me, and I had to take this trade out of the market. Now, staying with the E-mini Dow a little bit later in the trading session, you can see we had 1, 2, 3, 4 bars moving lower, and I and then we had this bar retrace, and I was hoping this second bar was going to retrace and give me a 2-bar pullback entry just below the previous day's low at 178.36. The market came within about 3 ticks of my fill, moved away from me, and I had to take this trade out. I then took a look at the gold market, where there was a nice setup sitting there, and we can see that we had 1, 2, 3 bars moving lower, followed by 1 bar retracing and a second bar retracing. And on this bar right here, the market came within 1 tick of my fill and then moved through what would have been my profit target here. And when that happened, I had to take this trade off. And I'm glad I did, because had I been stubborn and left my entry in the market, I would have gotten filled on the way to a stop loss, which would have cost me $100 per contract traded, but no fill here in the gold market. And then lastly, I did see an opportunity in the crude oil market. And this was towards the end of the trading session. You can see in crude, we had 1, 2, 3, 4 bars moving lower. We had this red bar, Bollinger Band pointing down, the RSI below 30. And rather than try to catch a trending entry here, I wanted to trade the retracement. And so I was sitting here at 66.57, ready to go short. The market came within 1 tick of my fill and then moved away from me, and I had to take this trade out of the market. So during the trading session, folks, I had 5 attempts in the market, no fills, although 3 of those came within a tick or so of filling me, and I was disappointed I didn't get that. But I did come back in the afternoon and take a look to see if there might be any other opportunities to trade with a particular focus on crude oil. And let me bring up my point and figure charts and show you a couple of things I was looking at. This gray shaded area right here represents 12:30 to 1:30 Central Time, and this is the time when I like to trade the markets in the afternoon. And you can see here, shortly after 12:30, we had established that we had a minor area of resistance at the $67 a barrel level. And so as prices came up into this area, I was sitting here short, risking 10 ticks to make 5 ticks on this little scalping trade. And so when the market came up, I got my fill. The market turned to race, started moving in my direction. When it moved 5 ticks in my direction, my stop loss moved automatically to break even. But I was filled. I picked up the 5 ticks here, and that was worth $50 per contract traded. The reason why I moved my stop loss to break even when the market moves 5 ticks is there are times when you don't get your fill at your profit, the market may move against you, and I don't want it to cost me any money when that happens. Now, moving on a little bit later in the trading session, you can see we had established here that we had 66.72 as a minor area of support. So I was sitting here with a long entry, hoping that this column of O's was going to come down and give me a fill and turn around and give me another quick little 5-tick move. But the market came within 1 tick of giving me my fill before moving away from me, and I had to take this trade out. So it's all said and done today. I had 7 attempts in the markets, 1 fill, up $50 per contract traded, and looking forward to seeing what kind of opportunities might present themselves tomorrow. But looking at tomorrow's economic calendar, you can see there are several things on tap that we need to be aware of. We see that we get kicked off here at 7:30 with the non-farm employment change data, followed by the trade balance, the unemployment rate, and average hourly earnings. Then at 7:45, we have FOMC member Mester speaking. At 9 o'clock, we have factory orders coming out. We also at 9 o'clock have FOMC member Fisher speaking. And then at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we have the release of consumer credit data. So no doubt there's going to be movement in the market here at 7:30 when the employment data comes out, because usually the markets are very volatile after the release of that. And hopefully some of that volatility and movement will carry over into the open of the U.S. trading session and give us some opportunities we can take advantage of. So with that, I'd like to thank everybody for watching today's daily video. I wish you a pleasant evening. I look forward to speaking to you tomorrow. Take care and good night.